Now two people with two eyeballs can see me on two different apps, and that's Crystal Ann Grimm and Crystal Vickers. They're both women, and in organized crime, is there, and because I'm here talking, and some people are looking at me through a smartphone, some people are looking at me through and well, I'm kind of good at content creating, so this is my camera because I haven't plugged it in. I'm gonna plug it in, and that was a Logi. I'm assuming that's a Logi Tech camera because it works good, and I'm making content, and I think everybody in America loves me, damn near, except for the Jewish community. But because of this big nose, air is not free, or is it free? Well, I got a joke. I'm not saying anything bad about the Jewish because I'm not. I'm not. The Jewish community is wonderful, and I'm sure they have their own opinions, and maybe some don't like my swearing and this and that. But I'm not saying anything bad about the Jewish community because my mother has suffered great pain because my father is still not leaving her, and he doesn't have the money to do it. And he thinks he's gonna just hold on to his great ass's money, which is his stepfather, and he was a stepfather to Mario as well, and to Uncle Serge, and to Auntie Patricia, who may have found this, may not have, but Uncle he was basically trying to use his money to. Well, he gave Chris Gregoire in his mind the okay to kill me the other day, and Chris hasn't done it yet. Because Chris probably knows one thing: your dad scares you, and Chris knows he's scared of his dad. He is scared of his dad. There's no doubt about that. But that's his dad. So does Guy think that Chris was switched out? Because he knows his son from Chris. Gee, because you told me that you had a heroin addiction in front of Chris the one day, and this is going back to 2010 or 2011. Because you were here with me once, Chris, and I told you that secret, and I knew he's a heroin addict. I think maybe either a workplace incident or my Uncle Johnny. Are we on Best Banner? I hold Best Banner. This is me. I'm speaking live, and well, nobody knows how many views there are because there's no views on there. Or it says one for everybody else. So there's a man in the Yukon named Frank. And he's not Frank Jones or Frank Rosen. Because Frank Jones wasn't going to tell us his list of people. Well, Frank Jones is an interesting man. Because Frank Jones, if you can believe me, he had the balls to make a fake account on Facebook. And it's called Frank Rosen. And this Frank Rosen here, he was treasonous because he said something bad about a Larry, and I don't know which Larry, but I get the idea. There's a Larry with a lot of power, and Frank Rosen and Frank Jones, well, they're the same man. And one's a maiden and a singer, and well, just like that, gone, disappeared because he said one thing wrong about a man, man's reputation. I can't touch because it's completely bulletproof. Nobody's actually bulletproof. I don't want to share price is bulletproof. I think it's bulletproof, and I'm not like all that knows about that stuff because I'm Cody Hayden. I'm the only one in cameras. Chris Gregoire has been doing things, blaming it on me in case he gets caught. So he's been doing all these things, and he doesn't want to be caught, but he just learned of the mob radio 23. I mean, he's brought cash in that regards to that because I created that mob radio, and I do fiction. Uh, I do fiction at its finest on X.com, and I'm not trying to get out of anything, but I got remember when I just told some stories, and Chris Gregoire is his father's son. Yes, true, but he hasn't seen his real father since he was 11, because Chris was smoking crack in Kelowna when he was 11, and his father caught him and yelled at him in a certain way that he got scared right off of crack and cocaine, because he doesn't do that stuff anymore. But he knows something, that he's been making secret videos with Cliff Coughlin, and Cliff was pretending to be my dad, and Chris was pretending to be me to get me killed and get Guy killed, because we're still here breathing. And Sean Coughlin doesn't speak to his dad at all. Or if they're trying to patch things up, it's probably not going well because that's what Cliff and Chris were doing. And I'm not going with the brainwash, what the Cliff wants, because his plan to get me and my dad butchered in our fucking sleep didn't count or didn't work. Well, I'm not going his way because this is a this is me just because I'm making content and I'm coming off of the crystal methamphetamine. I've made a decision that I'm not going to do as much. So I'm not I'm talking on here, but I'm talking not only to the men that know, because nobody knows who I politic with. This is the thing. And some men are from a totally different generation. I never used the crap when I was a teenager. I didn't. Crystal Sphincter is designed saying it that way so when people do it, they don't want to do it. It sounds gross. Because I can talk for a long time without breathing. Because I would never tell anybody in America how to politic. I wouldn't. And I wouldn't. And I know people's, because I've done the history. Like I've done the research, and I wouldn't tell anyone in anywhere as near any state how to politic, because I wouldn't. Because is it blue, red, or red or blue? Well, it's going to be red soon, and I think I didn't read the article, and because if it's a matter of how successful I am on stock_talk365, this was one account, and I lived through the 2255 ETC highway because Chris G went over there, and Montana must have went through my friend's list, and she had Chris over, and one time she raped her, because he was screwing her when she was my girlfriend, and Montana, she thought that I was cheating on her. I said I had a drink with Jaden because I wanted to see who Jaden wanted to connect me with, or she maybe wanted to sleep with me. Maybe she did. She didn't, because I never slept with her. She's a nice lady, and she hasn't found Best Banner because I'm on YouTube too. And I mean, she tried to ruin the relationship because me and Montana we were in love, and she was fine. She's completely honest with me. She wasn't stealing anything. She was bedridden for fucking 3 months almost because of the fentanyl crisis. And fentanyl is a horrible fucking thing. And and some men back east never wanted it, and they don't even take a cut from it because they don't want anything to do with that shit. And if someone gave them a cut, it's Pat Haynes, and they probably didn't even want it because they don't take a cut from it. And it's like the heroin when it first started. Well, it's been here forever, and then I don't know. Because I'm not mad at anybody in the United States. Some people have gotten to know me and they want the best for me. Well, I'm not going to be on the business end of this because that's what was that the business end, or is that a burnt pipe? Because I smoke it around people because I don't smoke nearly as much when I'm by myself. I'm always here talking, and somebody is mad at me because I keep talking about Montana. Well, she had an overdose, and I called the paramedics. This only happened to me twice because I called it for Brady too. And Brady, he's somewheres, and he won't talk to me no more because the Hells Angels stole him up from around me too. Because the Hells Angels are involved in brainwash, mass fucking brainwash, and nobody should listen to what a Hells Angel says ever. Because this is like an urgent plea to anybody in power, basically. And I know some people aren't watching because the government hasn't caught wind of this, but the Hells Angels are involved in brainwashing from the birth, like right from the birth, because he thinks that I'm on his property. He's gonna leave my mother and take Wayne Estel's money with him because he won't sleep in the same room with her because she snores. He lives on a fucking couch. He doesn't move from the couch because he's scared of something, or he's just a weird fucking man that still thinks he's in the semi truck because he just doesn't love my mother anymore, and he thinks he has power over me and my mom, because he wouldn't answer the fucking door when I wanted to do laundry. We had an argument, and it was settled. So one thing he knows is he can't call the cops on me anymore because he was drugging me and trying to put me in prison all those years. And it happened 3 times, and he knew it was coming too because Brendan did it that time, and then Jason R. did it through somebody who didn't have anything to do with it because he didn't even know it was in there. And then remember, Kamloops is a small town, and people that are from out of town, like Crystal Vickers, you have no influence in my life anymore. You never did. You knew me when I was a kid. And I could get into prostitution. Yeah, I could. But I'm not going to sell my own ass. No. Because this is an urgent. Don't listen to the Hells Angels out of Vancouver or Kamloops, because they are involved in mass brainwash. They are. They brainwash children from the get-go. And Guy's a nomad or a Hells Angels. Well, I told two men that broke onto a bus with a bat and machete, I grabbed them like this. I brought them in close so they couldn't hurt me. And I didn't catch their names because Montana was there, and I told them that they should go. That's 9th and Sherbrooke, and that's our motorhome that was there. I told them that they should go because the cops are on the way. Because I'm devout to criminals. Well, I shouldn't be after that, but that's how I handled it. And it's a bat and machete. And well, they were there, and I was just woke up from something that was in my pocket. It was all sleeping something. It was sleeping powder of some kind because it went right through the fucking bag, and I didn't have underwear on at the time because this is a travesty what the fucking Hells Angels do in this province. It's a travesty what they think they are. They're not in charge of my content creation whatsoever. They never fucking were, and they never will be. So I'm saying, I'm not a Hells Angel. I'm not a nomad. I can't say that enough because Cliff Coughlin's trying to make it true and is bugging out people in Kamloops. And people have found Best Banner, and in Kamloops is a pretty small fucking community there. Clifford, Coughlin. So I wrote some stuff called For the Spy, and it was online. So, and that's for men that are actually in the spying business. And I'm famous online, and I am, and I'm not trying to, and I'm just trying to say that Clifford Coughlin, your brainwash plot trying to get Chris to become me doesn't work because you did it to kill me and my dad, and you had something to do with Wayne Hassel dying. Of course you did. You might not have seen it coming, but you're happy for it because me and my grandpa never spoke organized crime, not once. But he's a man that kept secrets, and he kept very powerful friends, and he did his business more like a man like Vito Rizzuto, who passed away in 2013. And we'll have our fucking revenge one day or the next, and not on anybody in government. Because these fucking Hells Angels out here, they're fucking nobodies. And they think because they have money, they're going to. Brian lost his teenage farming efforts because he's not doing it right now. He was farming young men, and he's the reason why I was moved in science class. He was. Because there's rumor going around, and he enforced it. He enforced it because he didn't want me sitting beside two beautiful women because we're in grade 8. And obviously, it turned out to be beautiful. But the young ladies involved in the spy rooms that are associated to me, you've all been caught, except for one woman. She's a woman now. She's the same age as me. She's not caught because it's cold in here. I haven't turned the heater on, and I'm doing this online now. But I was working online in 2022 when I was put in on floor 6 for 3 weeks, and well, it hasn't happened yet because the only thing that's happened is me and Give had an argument, and he can't call the cops because I'm not trespassing, Guy. So beat you there, and you're just being brainwashed by somebody in California because those two do draconian telekinetics. And if the Roman Republic ever found out anybody was doing that stuff, well, maybe that's what they went to war in Gaul for. Maybe it is because I never did it before. Right around the time I moved out of 2255 East Trans Canada Street, and nobody knows who I do internet telekinetics with because the stuff doesn't work. That's why I'm on here talking all day, looking at myself because I'm going cross-eyed because I'm looking at the camera too much, and it doesn't look good from there. But I just want to keep myself in a certain spot because I'm not going crazy, and I'm just wiping my mouth because I do content creation all the time. So will Guy get off his high fucking horse? Because you are the reason why I'm not staying at Kim's and here. Because two places is advantageous to a man when he's selling drugs, and the whole city would buy fucking drugs off me, and that's what the Hells Angels fear. And somebody called Doug from Kelowna, he showed me his ring once, and I knew the message there: don't sleep with another man's wife. And I never slept with. And Mike and Trina should know, I slept with Trina once, but I was in revolt of why Chris wasn't put in the prison cell because Ron Boucher had a high price lawyer in there, and that's when Chris was youth, and he's caught. He's caught sleeping with Trina still, and she's married, and they were married at the Columbo Lodge, and me and Mike, he already knows about this with me, and Chris is still sleeping with her. I can sense it. She just doesn't know how to close her legs because Chris is spying on Jordan because he still goes around there. I just haven't knocked on the door yet, and the boat's still there, and it might as well be a beacon of fucking hope, because Chris G happens to be something that he shouldn't be, but I'm not a nomad, and I'm not, and I'm not, and I'll never fucking be. I never will be. I never wanted to be one. I never did. Because what's Guy gonna do? Call the cops on me for nothing? Because did Mr. Bacon just call the cops on me? Because Mr. Bacon wouldn't do that. So I'm gonna leave again, and I'm leaving because I can't trust these people.